Andrew here. I'm going to read a short extract from my novel about how the lovers met. The chapter is entitled Fresh, which is the English meaning of the name of the female lover, Aviva. Fresh. It was her smile that did it. She was standing in the middle of a small group of young women seated in a line before a row of washing machines. He could see her through the glass door of the laundromat. She had turned her back to the door and was about to sit down when he approached the entrance. Rigged to emit a buzz whenever it was opened, the door did just that as he entered. The sound was enough to induce her to straighten up and swing her upper body around to inspect the newcomer. Her eyes locked onto his immediately. One hand on the door handle, the other clutching the strings to the laundry bag looped over his shoulder. He froze, as though transfixed. Seconds passed. All was silent, or so it seemed. When he saw the glimmer of a smile soften her face, he slowly lowered his gaze. Petite, but present, and how. Anything but tall, yet she stood erect and poised as though her presence was a gift to the world. Her hair, a thick, dark brown mass of it, tumbled down on either side of her face to below her shoulders. He followed it down to the last full locks and let his gaze fall further over the turquoise t-shirt, bent soft and full by her breasts, where he paused momentarily before encountering her forearm, held at waist height, the hand palm up, as if questioning the intrusion. Yet he could not hold his gaze, drawn inexorably to the elbow and back, tapering to her waist, where the turquoise gave way to a gleaming black material which sculpted the flare of her hips and the swell of her buttocks, before, clinging briefly to her upper thighs, it dropped to bell-bottoms of her black high-heeled wedge sandals. Slowly, Alexander raised his eyes to her face as she turned to stand before him full on. And then she smiled, and he was lost. It was an inviting smile in a sensitive face whose radiance of parted lips and dazzling teeth drew attention away from a slightly rounded nose to join up with the sparkle in her deep brown eyes. And it was in them that he saw the magic of her smile, for her soul was visible. He saw it in a sense of puzzlement in her glance, a slight frown creasing her nose as though she was questioning her own presence, almost an expression of doubt, an admission of vulnerability. Alexander trembled. Suddenly, he was overwhelmed by the deepest urge to walk over to this angelic apparition, to wrap her in his arms and declare his commitment to standing between her and all of the evils of the world. True, he would have to hold her gently, for she was delicate, or so it seemed. Yet, she was also strong, or so her next words made clear to him. "We have ourselves a statue, ladies," she called out while gazing straight into his eyes. He was suddenly aware that if If he did not soften, he would break the handle off the door. "What shall we do with him?" And she flashed him an even brighter smile before turning to her companions. "I'm sure we can come up with some ideas," he heard one of them call out before they all huddled together and started giggling. Releasing the door, Alexander went about his business, acutely aware of 5 pairs of female eyes behind him, intently watching him bend over to load one of the washing machines. Whispers and giggles accompanied his movements until he closed the machine and started it. What to do? The memory of the smile persuaded him, and he turned to face his audience. "Good afternoon, ladies," he started with an overstated bravura while rubbing the palms of his hands together to disguise his nervousness. "So, have you decided what you would like to do with me?" "Well, that depends," one of the young women replied. "Who are you, and what do you do?" He turned to the speaker, a prettily made-up blonde woman. "My name's Alexander," he introduced himself, "but my friends call me Alex." "Hi, Alex." Did they all say that together? No. He was missing a voice. "I prefer Alexander." Silence fell. It was her, the lady of the smile, but this time all he could see was the glimmer of one. She was eyeing him like a cat, he thought. In itself, it was an innocuous statement, but what came next seemed to undermine that. "Don't you?" His eyes were drawn to hers directly. He peered into hers. Was she claiming him? Or just toying with him? "Yeah, but only when you say it." Did I really just say that? The glimmer melted into half a smile, and there it was again, that questioning, vulnerable glance. "So what do you do, Alexander?" "I'm a third-year law student at the University of Cape Town." She eyed him, while almost visibly digesting the information and considering what to do with it. Everyone, included, waited for her to speak. "Oh, I think I know who you are, Alexander." She eventually beamed a great big goofy smile at him, but this time he saw nothing vulnerable in it. "What's your last name?" "Shaw." He was a bit apprehensive. What was she up to? Why? Alexander Shaw, third-year law student at UCT. Is that right, Alexander? She had raised her voice somewhat to capture everyone's attention. "Wow, girls!" She turned to her companions. "Did you hear that? This is the Alexander Shaw. All the girls know him right around the country. We've all heard of him, haven't we, girls? This is why we come and study at the University of Cape Town, isn't it?" She called to her companions, beckoning them to confirm this. "Of course we have," they all called out. "Me in Johannesburg," said one. "Me and all the girls in PE," another volunteered. By the time they were through, it would have been clear to any stranger listening in that Alexander was revered by young white prospective female university students throughout the English-speaking parts of the country. "You see, Alexander," she turned to him with an exaggeratedly sweet smile, "all of us girls know you, and we all want to spend the night with you, so there is really no need for you to hit on us. Just let us know if you can fit us in." Alexander bowed his head in embarrassment. But after a moment's hesitation, during which he considered his predicament, he shrugged off any notion of inferiority and thought, "Stuff it, I can play this game too." "Look, ladies," he turned to them. "The last time I consulted my diary," he placed his hand on his head, "it's all in here, I had a new girl booked every night for the rest of the year, so if you don't mind doubling up, I can fit all of you in starting tonight. Who wants to go first?" He turned to her. "You first?" Silence fell, and all eyes turned to her. Had she been caught at her own game? "I don't share, Alexander." Her voice was icy, but the vulnerable smile was back again. "Touché. So why don't you tell me your name and I'll see what I can do for you," he chuckled. "Aviva." Alexander searched her eyes in silence, all the while intensely alert to her presence. He felt it again, the strength, and there, persistently beneath it, the presence of the vulnerability which resonated in him. "I've just realized, Aviva," he finally spoke, deliberately trying out her name on his tongue, "that all my bookings have been cancelled. I can fit you in right now, if you'd like." "I'd like, Alexander," she smiled. "Where are we going?" "How about the Pig and Whistle?" "The Pig and Whistle?" "I'm Jewish, Alexander. Should I be concerned?" There was that smile again, challenging him, but simultaneously doubting her own challenge. He chuckled. "It's a pub, a student watering hole just a few minutes away." "Oh," she nodded. "So I should be concerned. You're going to try and get me drunk and then take advantage of me, aren't you?" His smile faded and he froze. Looking her straight in the eye, he eventually spoke, his voice subdued, but enunciating every syllable firmly. "If it's not freely given, Aviva,